Hey everyone, I hope you can hear me well. Let's wait until 10 people join and then we can get started. I'll hand the floor to Paul immediately as soon as there's at least 10 people in this space.
Well, we already have 7. Well, now we have 8. Let's just, because I have like a list, so I'll just go through the worst things on the list first and we'll save the better things. So we can kill time by talking about this study about in Cameroon, these people earn money, and because in every other culture that's not like a Western culture, if you have any more money than anyone, everyone comes out with like for a handout. They try to like take your money, like your mother-in-law and your cousin and whatever. They all try to like take your money. They have like the job has a program where they will invest your money at negative 25%, but they won't tell anyone how much money you have. And I think it's an interesting privacy use case, as you might call it. So I thought that was kind of neat. Also, the bug hunt number 3 is finished. So I'm going to publish the list of all the bugs, which I haven't done before, because I thought, well, do we really want everyone to know about the bugs before we can fix them all? But we'll do that, but then we'll be trying to fix every bug. They have a lot of like minor bugs, and you got to check the fixes and stuff before you push them out, and et cetera, et cetera. So, Jameson Lop has a thing on wrench attacks. Also, another thing that this Saturday, we're going to start doing like they call like the dry run, which is like if the fork happened now, like that's what it would be. And so it will be like an opportunity for everyone to test like every single thing about like claiming and like what exactly would happen with the difficulty and the mining and all that other stuff. So that is so we're going to start doing that. And then I had a tweet about BIP110 and Luke that some people wanted to explain, which is like Luke fought against BIP110 and people, and it's because there's this new app out that lets you do, it lets you like basically text. This is what I was talking about last week about with bit names. It's like you can text back and forth with someone and then just send them $20 instead of texting back and forth with them. And then, like asking them for an address, and then how did they know the address was real and that the clipboard didn't get intercepted and all this stuff. And of course, I've been a huge champion of this idea for many, many years. But been a huge champion of this idea for many years. But so I was commenting that if Luke hadn't tried to kill BIP110, which was like from 2014, we would probably still have this now. And people are like, what's the connection between those two things? And the connection is that you kind of have to have this like friend for BIP110. You have to have this like friend request on the blockchain where you and the other person do this notification transaction. But basically what it does is it sets up this thing that is technically called this Diffie-Hellman thing. And basically it lets everyone know the other person's public key and lets you have encrypted messages of all kinds with each other. And since when you know someone's private key, you also know, when you know someone's public key, you also know exactly how to send them coins. So the reason why I speculate that we would have had this in Bitcoin 10 years ago if Luke hadn't killed BIP110 is because BIP110 sets up this thing where you and the other person know each other's key and address. And I think from there, it's a very, very short distance from having stuff like an address book in Bitcoin where it's an actual just list of other people that you interact with. And then it's from there, it's very short distance from transacting back and forth to adding the chat thing. But instead, Luke killed 47, and then he went on to kill other things. He killed more op return, and this led, Vlad, as you were pointing out, this led kind of to the creation of Counterparty and Ethereum, and it led to like the jettison of a lot of stuff being done on Bitcoin, and then that created to some extent created altcoin world. So that's why I bring that up. There's also a new Dan Krawitz video, and also another interview that I did with I think XXIM. But if you like thoughtful, high IQ eCash entertainment, then you can listen to the Dan Krawitz video number 3, which is really good, the Rambo one. So that's out. There's another, before we get to the most important thing, is the Free Samurai thing, I suppose. I mean, that's something that people are very curious about. So I'm just warming up to it. And we'll just get more stuff off the list as people join. And people can feel free to ask about this or anything else. But there's a new waste of time Michael Saylor article out, which is, I don't know who's necessarily still paying attention even to Michael Saylor at this point, because you would think that after him saying, I never said don't sell your Bitcoin, that would just be enough for people to throw up their hands and be like, I'm never listening to this person again. But some people still are, I suppose. And so I thought, you know what? I had actually kind of a list of like crazy things Michael Saylor has done, but the problem is the list is too long. So I was like, I should like kind of shorten it and have only the high impact ones. But Udi already, he just tweeted maybe 2 or 3 days ago. He tweeted already like a really, really good list that is very curated. And so I was like, yeah, this is a great short list of crazy stuff Michael Saylor has done and said, and where you just can't believe, like, why is anyone taking this guy seriously? So that's slowly going away, but you can read his new article. And recently he tweeted about how the fact that we have 1 sat per kilobyte fees, that means we've solved spam, maybe? I'm not exactly sure.
No, it's 1 sat per
side
VByte,
of the
not
argument
kilobyte,
he's done.
sorry.
Sorry?
I wish it was 1 sat per kilobyte, but it's per VByte.
Oh, no, sorry. I said the wrong, misspoke. There's a verbal typo there, sat per byte for VByte. And but it's unclear as to what he is trying to say, like that this proves that the network is ready for more bytes, or it's kind of constantly a waste of time to even delve into it too much. And then finally on Michael Saylor, he sold 32 Bitcoin, but then he bought 3,600 Bitcoin, but then he sold the same amount at a much lower price. And this is what he does constantly. He's constantly buying at the top and then now selling at much lower price, just owning the coin at lower prices. So to me, Michael Saylor, Michael Saylor, BIP110, and Lightning are all like the same thing, where it's like for some reason people believe in these 3 ideas. And to me, they're just equally cult, like fake ideas that are doomed, and they're just propped up by basically social pressure, and they're kind of embarrassing and weird. But speaking of 110 lost to Giacomo. Poor Giacomo Zucco, investor in Ocean. He tweeted something like 110 is stupid because he compared it, because that guy, I don't know who made this site. I think it was Wicked, maybe. He made a pretty good site tracking 110, and then you have an option to like toggle between like SegWit and 110, and you can see like the complete night and day difference. Where there's like no, but we've got someone with a 110 in listening, I think. So come on up and chill 110 as best you can. We got 110G Julio. We got also David hashtag BIP11, then it's cut off. So we can only assume he's not talking about BIP119. But yeah, sure. Feel free to come up. Now, okay, the big, let me see. All right.
Do you
Hello.
think there were BIP110 supporters out there? Because they're not real, Paul. They're not real. Okay, we're all trolling. This is Bitcoin Puppet turned into a human. We're adding BIP110 to our name to infiltrate and to add subterfuge.
Oh, it's a
And
joke. Oh, you
it's a
guys are
total joke.
funny. I gotta hand
We've
it to
been
you guys.
arguing with these idiots all week. Leonidas, this dumbass, our number one retarded ordinal savior, Leonidas is going to argue with Jim, RDTS Jim today, who's like actually mining BIP110. So we're all kind of just like leaning
He's the
into
only
this, like,
one.
let's dox ourselves and act like we're real people with laser eyes, so that because they won't let us come up on the spaces and like talk with logic, right? Like they're like scared of reasoning, I guess, and like this spending, like what is money is a question that they hate, right? Like these type of simple like they would rather just talk to themselves all day long, right? So we try to get up, talk to them, but we figured out they wouldn't let us up, so we started changing our name. Like I made my name David because think about it. Why do people want to listen to you talk, Paul? Because you got a nice, cute white guy face, and you got your name Paul in your handle, right? Like that's a reasonable person right out the gates. Like when you see me with the Bitcoin puppet, and my name is Degentralina, and like, come on, you think
Right.
people want to hear me talk?
I can see
So,
people taking a skeptical
yeah,
view.
look, you invited me up here because I had a white guy face and laser eyes. Don't lie.
Well, because you had one BIP110. That is
No,
funny
yeah,
though. That I think I saw the thing with the mechanic, like the mechanic, and the guy
yeah.
doing the impression, and I thought that I was like laughing at that. I don't normally like a lot of Bitcoin content is very very predictable for me
We've
these days.
already got
But
to Luke. Okay, we already have people like there's this guy Zek. He's at a mechanic right now, so he can't come explain it. But he has an alt account that has what's called as a Psychosis Ape Club. It's an AI Bored Ape derivative rug on Binance Smart Chain. All right, we made a joke a long time ago where we copy pasted some of these and teleburn them onto Bitcoin, and so we have this little dumb joke where like 5 of us have these Bored Ape derivative AI shit. And so he goes on that. It says building alkanes in the name. It has worms in the handle, like worm emoji. It has 7 times, another worm, and then it says BIP110, and then it says building on alkanes, which is a Bitcoin meta protocol, right? Luke Dashjr's dumbass is retweeting this guy because the barrier of like IQ that these guys put into like the virtue signaling with one another, and like it's very low. There's no effort here for them to be like, oh, they say, oh, that guy has BIP110 in his name and he has laser eyes. I like that guy. That's it. That's as far as these guys go. So if you just put laser eyes back on and you put like BIP110 in your name, you're gonna be. I got 50 followers within 20 hours, and I'm tweeting Bitcoin puppet memes at these guys, and they're liking them. Like they have no idea what's going on, Paul.
well, the underdog is always desperate to team up, so they're actually very nice. They have to love bomb. It's like a cult.
Yeah.
They have to anyone new. They have to love bomb them to get them in. It's very important. Well, hey, you fooled me.
Well,
I thought it
here's
was
the
a real
funniest part
110.
about it. For the
I mean,
last
I put
3 days,
1 second into researching it by reading
yeah,
the title.
exactly. No, that's
yeah.
what everyone does. There's Zek down there too. He's doing the same thing with the real person. But basically, for the last 3 days, we've been like doing 12-hour a day spaces where we title it like BIP110ers for the win, or like BIP110 is gonna win debate. Like, and we bait these guys to come up, right? And then we like get one of their supporters to like actually try to defend the cause, and we like be nice about it. We try to be really gentle, and like we're basically playing basketball with a 12-year-old, and we know we're playing basketball with a 12-year-old, but we still want the 12-year-old to have a little bit of fun, right? But we still got to make sure he can't get the free shot. So like we're playing. That's how we're treating these guys on this stage. But they unironically think like they don't even understand that us shitcoiners, whatever, we haven't even gotten off the bench. We haven't even lifted a finger to defend ourselves from these dumb arguments, right? But now we're just now. Step one is like, let's have some jokes with these guys and like, let's play their game and put BIP110 in their name. So we can just like be part of the conversation and then ask them very obvious questions. And then they like, hopefully, ideally, that maybe, kicks some logic into their head. But I don't know, bro. Look how they're crashing out on Michael Saylor, their hero right now. It's gold. It's gold.
Well, yeah, I was actually I was a little disappointed even that, because I was kind of like maybe Michael Saylor with this recent tweet about where he's talking about how there's no spam problem. I was like, he's finally weighing in on a controversy, but he waited 2 years to weigh in on like one of the easiest controversies like in all of Bitcoin's history. And so I was kind of like, well, I guess, I don't know. In many ways, it's kind of maybe worse.
Well, I mean, what do you expect from him? He's not intelligent and he's not technical. He has to wait, bro. Like he has to wait to be on the right side of it.
No, he waited so long.
Can I just jump in there?
Michael
How is it possible
Hello.
that Michael Saylor owns literally 600,000 coins and he's not technical? Like I had this debate yesterday with Randy McMillan, and he just shoved it in my face, and he said to me, he just threw it in my face. He was like, this guy is just not going to know. He's not going to read the software. He doesn't care about the code. And yet you are literally giving this guy 600,000 coins, and you don't even know how he takes care of them. It's absurd.
My answer would be that he's a federal agent, but yeah, that's not, nobody wants to hear that.
Well, I'm a little confused about Mr. Oiko. Are you saying that he is technical, or are you saying that it's amusing how, despite being not technical,
I'm just literally saying that if you did have a company that was worth that amount of money and you were putting in billions of dollars into Bitcoin, there is no way that you would put billions of dollars into Bitcoin and just trusting someone like Coinbase to look after your keys. You would have to know on some way, shape, or form exactly how it is that they store their keys. And Randy McMillan yesterday was just laughing in my face. The guy was just an absolute dickhead, and I was just like, dude, man, like you wouldn't give this guy your fucking Bitcoin unless you knew, unless you actually fucking knew how it was that he was going to take care of your keys. It's just
many people obviously have. But I think, there must be some kind of SOC report or some kind of document describing like some kind of multi-sig set. I mean, this is just what I assume based on years of experience in the industry, and also like sometimes like getting asked by consultants and stuff to like review things. There are like, when a corporation reaches a certain size, they have to like have everything in a document. They have to have like a backup plan. So I assume, and by assume I mean I'm like 99.99% sure they have some kind of like thing set up where MicroStrategy's Bitcoin is in some kind of multi-sig or MPC or some kind of whatever, Fireblocks or some kind of thing.
But this is
something that has reports and stuff.
Like, even if you have a multi-signature scheme, it doesn't really matter what that multi-signature scheme is unless you can actually read the code about how that multi-signature scheme takes place. Like, what are you actually using to secure the keys? Like, if you can't read the code, you're just, you're so gullible. This is like, I just can't understand how someone is in tune and so update and so fucking clever as Michael Saylor would just, like, there's just no way that he would not read the code. He would know the shit. Like, I'm not bigging him up.
Yeah, but you don't think? Do you think that he doesn't?
No, I would agree with you. I would say that he did. He would know every aspect about it.
Yeah, but he doesn't, though, right?
To be fair, though, reading the code and interpreting the intention is a completely different thing.
Well, we could reflect on how, like, there were people who became obsessed with Bitcoin, like a Roger Ver, for example, in the earlier era. He became totally obsessed with Bitcoin, and he learned an awful lot. He clearly became much more technical than he would have had he remained a humble optical server equipment salesman, which is like what he was doing before he found Bitcoin. He clearly learned about private keys. He learned about GitHub. He learned about like what an API is, because Amir Otaki, I think, like accidentally published something open source that had like an API key and it lost like 25,000 Bitcoin as a result. But the point is, he became obsessed, but even back at the time, people would not have described Roger Ver as quote technical, unquote. Back in 2015, 2017, in fact, people would say that, I really like Roger, but he's not technical. That's something people would say. And yet he did become obsessed with Bitcoin. And Michael Saylor is kind of like a weird version of this, where he is also obsessed with getting on stage and talking about Bitcoin with his weird metaphors. You know what I mean? Like if
you guys think about it, BIP110 is like a cyber gangbang, Like, this is the kind of thing he understands. It's okay. He doesn't have to be technical. Let him do his vagueness and like summarize the technicalities. The thing is not everybody can be technical, and we probably shouldn't expect that, because like then we're never going to get anywhere. But like,
I know, but it is too weird. Like, as
it is weird.
Person Oiko was saying, that you'd invest so much money and yet you wouldn't invest maybe
he probably
like
has
one weekend.
Team. He probably has
learning
a handler.
about. Yeah, but he doesn't know enough. He really knows. If you read Udi's tweet, there's many, many different things. Like him, for example, saying that Bitcoin is better than Litecoin because it has a higher hash rate in hashes per second, but apparently not knowing that the hash rate in Bitcoin and Litecoin are different, and you can't make just an apples to apples comparison. You can compare them to some extent, but
but I
it's
mean
like saying
the hash rate in Bitcoin really doesn't apply to anything, because it so long as someone actually makes the longest chain, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how much hash rate you have behind it.
to some extent, yes, as long as it's enough to deter frivolous 51% attack. I would agree. So a lot of the things he doesn't know are very strange, and you would think now he's been involved for like 5 years, so you would think that you would know more.
Yeah, he's just as smart as all the guys yapping in my comments from 2021 on Twitter about BIP110. That's fair.
Well, as I said, I think Saylor, 110, and Lightning, to me, they are all like just terrible, and I don't know what people see in them, but you have their little bubble, you have your little cult, and it's a shame. There's a little bit of good in each of the three. Like with 110, I'm not sure. Criticizing Core and pointing out that Core is terrible. That was definitely the silver lining of 110, and then Lightning was, of course, people wanted to. Yes.
Can I ask where you stand on this? Do you stand on like the 110, or do you stand on the Core sort of side of it? Because
no, I don't like.
I think 110 is. I do not stand on the 110.
Right, exactly. I'm not in favor of 110.
But why do we have to stand on Core side?
Exactly. I'm not really. I hate Core. In fact, I have to bring this up because it's very important. And this is what we had the Bitcoin Cash guy complaining, and he's a super nice guy, the New Zealand guy. And he was complaining yesterday to me about how blah, blah, blah. But it's like the problem with Bitcoin Cash and with 110 is that they're low quality ideas. And so even though they compete with Core, and they're going to lose, and then they're going to make Core look even better. So this is kind of like where, you're competing against Donald Trump and you want him to lose, and you run Joe Biden, who can't speak because he's half dead. And then it's kind of like, well, that was like, that's a huge setback for everyone. No matter what you want to have two bad candidates compete. So the inevitable failure of 110 is going to increase. Core is going to look better than they looked before 110 ever, was conceived.
Does it really matter though? No one's competing with them anyways.
No one's competing with who?
Core. They ran everybody off.
Well, 110 now is sort of competing. So
come on, not really. I mean, that's the one thing I can give 110. If they didn't set an activation and they just ran a client, we would all like them, I think, right? Like in a way.
I think so. Yes. Yeah. Well, we would like that they're a second option. And as a consumer, you walk into the store and you see, Crest for Skullgate for the toothpaste. You think, that's good. I have two options.
It almost feels like it's a white flag from Core, the way it's playing out right now, right? And almost like a controlled opposition thing.
I have to say, I don't understand why Luke, because, Luke is pretty smart. Luke is pretty crazy, of course. Luke has always been crazy. But I just don't see what he could possibly be thinking with all this. It doesn't, because the facts are completely against him.
If you lost 300 Bitcoin, and then the FBI was the only one that was trying to help you out, you might hate us too, though, right?
Why would that? How does that help? If you could just get more Bitcoin by saying wrong things.
I mean, sure, but his attitude that day shifted. I think, like personal experience, right? I lost a lot of crypto once upon a time over like an in-house theft thing, right? Yeah. And so like I had to fight with those emotions for like a year and a half of like being upset about who's to blame, all this kind of shit.
Do you live in France? Did they sell your information?
Seattle. No, I just had I think someone like I think someone I knew at like a work situation kind of figured out I had a bunch of Bitcoiners. Anyways, point is that
that's too bad.
You feel a certain type of way after that for a while. So I wouldn't put it past Luke to be like, man, they forsake me, blah blah blah. He's all religious and emotional, So like he could easily figure out all these like just weird metaphors for himself to justify like helping the FBI undermine Bitcoin and or helping Core kind of so he could get some of that corn back or whatever, right? Like any other incentive is there. We just don't know what it is,
I don't think the FBI knows how to undermine Bitcoin because think about how when I look around, I see a lot of people trying to help Bitcoin and they all seem really confused. So I think in order for the FBI to know it's bad for Bitcoin, they have to know the difference between what's good and bad for Bitcoin, but this is apparently like secret lore
You don't really have to
that
fight
very
Bitcoin.
few people
You just fight us on Twitter, though. You fight the social confusion layer.
I think that could be the case. So with Luke, I would definitely believe that he wanted to start Ocean and make a lot of money with Ocean to recoup what he had lost. But I don't see how any of this is helping Ocean. I think it's possible that there's a faction of people in Ocean who want to kick Luke out, and they're bringing this to a very measurable head, so to speak. They're saying, okay, here's an event where, because didn't we see that one guy, doesn't that one older guy was like, if 110 doesn't work, like I'm going to give up on this or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they all kind of, like, they're trying to scare people into thinking like you have to do this or Bitcoin's going to be doomed, you know? Like, that's all they're doing. They know it's dumb. But think about how they frame it. Like, have you read these guys' tweets? They frame things like it's guaranteed to pass. The miners have to comply. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I know. We could go over why that's not true briefly. I think it would be useful, because the typical argument is, okay, you've got some giant group that doesn't care, then you have an intransigent minority from Nassim Taleb, this tiny group that does care. It's the 3% kosher people or whatever, and that's why every drink is kosher. But what they don't understand is that this situation the analogy doesn't apply at all to this situation, because as soon as you do the mandatory signaling, and as soon as there's a block that doesn't signal in August 8th or whenever that is, then it will be which side do you give up on completely. And if you give up on the side that has 99% at the hash rate, you will just be on the minority side, and you will never get any. They won't even get to 100 blocks, and so they won't even get. No one will get paid at all.
I mean, I don't think they get to one block, because they're gonna have that first like difficulty adjustment problem, and it's gonna take like 2 days for the block to adjust. They're gonna have to hard fork twice in like 48 hours.
Well, think about it like this: if they can get 0.5% at the current difficulty, they might be able to get 1 or 2 blocks, or maybe even 10. Sometime in the first day or so.
I could see Roughnecks getting like 1 block just to prove a point right off the bat, but once they realize the loss on that block, they're gonna be like, shit, this isn't like mining Bitcoin to signal. We're not getting
precisely. Money back. Yeah, it's very important for people to realize whoever mines that block, there's this thing called the maturity period. There's a 100 block maturity period, which is I think one of the most ingenious parts of Satoshi's design, and I think it's very, very misunderstood what it does, because for a while there was an explanation from like Blockstream and Greg Maxwell about there's an explanation from Blockstream and Greg Maxwell that was something like it's annoying to update the database, and if there's reorgs you don't want to whatever. I think it's completely untrue. The clever thing about this, but first let me explain the rule. It says, as a miner, you don't get paid until the block that you mined has been buried by 100 future blocks. So it's like you need to have basically, the entire network in terms of mining and nodes kind of ratify your block. So when you mine a block today, those coins are not spendable for 100 blocks. And what this means is that you aren't allowed to just mine like kind of for fun. You only get paid if you mine in the blockchain that is the real one that we're all using. So it has an unbelievably strong applicability to this particular case, because as you pointed out, they mine 1 or 2 blocks. Then what they're going to realize is we can't spend any of the coins we mined that we received as so-called revenue. So they pay 100% of the cost, and they are looking at getting 0% of the revenue for this and of any other future blocks until they get to.
Well, I mean, after that, what they'll 99, do is they'll just hard fork.
Then,
they'll hard fork, reduce the difficulty. They might even adjust it to LWMA instead of what we have on Bitcoin, because the difficulty adjustment on Bitcoin is kind of like retarded. It's old. It's really bad, right? And so like you could update it so that every 3, 4, 5, 10 blocks the difficulty adjusts based on LWMA. And then like Luke is the kind of guy that'll like centralize the fuck out of anything he needs to in the moment. Hard fork, whatever.
Of course, but what do you think? I mean, this is the issue: is someone doing the hard fork. Exactly. I can tell you that there are, even if you want to keep L1 exactly the same, there are like hundreds, if not thousands, of tiny little decisions you have to make. Like, will you change the?
Well,
Network
He'll do
magic.
it.
Will you change the name? What will where will it be located? Like, what will the GitHub
If he's not afraid
be?
of talking about
Where's the
changing the
website?
proof of work, he's definitely not afraid of changing the DAA, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't care.
Yeah, I'm just saying, what do you think like it would be called, and what do you think would he change? Is he going to lower the difficulty? Is he going to change the proof of
I think
work algorithm?
he
What is he
plays
going
it by
to?
ear. He plays it by ear because I don't know if he really has a plan other than the control aspect of it.
I
Like,
know,
because
but it's like if you then
have
it's a
to,
lot of decisions to just make. Like I'm telling you from personal
he wants
experience,
to
it's very
change proof
funny.
of work. He
A
wants to
lot
change
of
the proof of
it
work
just
already.
changed like on a random day. Okay, yeah.
Well, look again. These guys are not. They're not verifying the code in the Knots client, my dude. They're downloading it because Luke tweeted, "Download it." Right? Like they don't give a fuck. It could be malware, and they're happily downloading Luke's malware. You know, they're cool with it. So I think it's just like whatever hard forks he says are needed, and Mechanic agrees with him. That's what the narratives, the marching orders become. So if they need to adjust the difficulty adjustment to make it actually be able to farm the blocks for 100 blocks and make it cheaper on the hash rate so they don't have to proof of work change until like next month, they're going to do exactly that or whatever, right? Like they're going to do whatever keeps the chain online because their whole thing is like they think consensus is this like gray area and they think that they could fight for the consensus like type of thing. And like yeah, they are admitting finally that it's either dead in the water or it's going to win automatically, blah blah blah. But like they're also not admitting that they're really trying to get people to support this proof of work change for Lukecoin. Like they just don't know it yet. So I don't know. Everything's going to change in my mind. They're going to call it Bitcoin or whatever. They're going to say it's this is how it's supposed to be real money and all this shit. But we've been here
I know, but
before.
all that has been done many times, and I think copying the name is a big mistake, and I think probably the Bitcoin Cash people suffered a lot just by not picking a different name because you go out, and then you got to shill. You want to shill your new idea, and you want to tell the world, "Oh, we've got this great idea. It's called Bitcoin Cash." And then people they just Google like Bitcoin or Bitcoin money or Bitcoin something, and they find BTC is shilling the competitors, showing the competitor's website.
This
So
guy in chat down here is freaking out with emojis because if you read the comments, he's complaining
I can't
about you
speak.
doing. He's complaining about you doing that, stealing the eCash name, Paul. How are you? How dare you, Paul,
Yeah.
steal the eCash name? It is definitely belongs to the 17th Bitcoin fork and not you. What is your?
Well, I think that's it's fair to say that no human like owns a name. The way I see it, eCash. We've discussed this many times, where it was like eCash.com is available, and the existing eCash project is like 180th on CoinMarketCap. So as far as I'm concerned, the name has sort of lived and died. There's like a tombstone, like born, dead, and all this stuff was available. .com, etc. So I don't think that someone can just plant the flag in the ground and claim every name on like January 5th, 1990, and just say every single name is mine, and you need to come for permission if you want it. The names kind of have an organic quality to it. When people Google eCash, they're going to find eCash.com. So it's really like it's kind of a center of gravity type of thing. It's actually the exact same logic if you think about it. Where I'm saying because ours is going to be bigger, we are the real. We're actually what people will mean when they use the name.
So in an effort to front run Justin and Krev, since they're so polite and put their hands up and I'm an asshole, why is that not applied to Luke in the same way where if he wins and Knots gets to be the number one chain, why can't he take over the name Bitcoin?
No, he can and he would.
Oh shit.
And I wouldn't complain. That's why I still use Bitcoin.
Reverse. I take that back. I take that back.
I still use the name Bitcoin to refer to today's Bitcoin. Because when a language is kind of like a theory, so now you're going to get too much information that you didn't want. But you see, a language. When I talk to you, I have certain assumptions about what do I think you and what do I think the audience means by different things. So that's the true name, is what the audience thinks you're referring to. It's not even up to me or you. It's just the context. So if I were speaking to people who could speak Spanish or Dutch, it might be different, so spoiler alert, Darth Vader's name Vader is I think Dutch for father. So that would be a spoiler for people watching the movie in English, and I don't know what they did when they translated. Presumably, when they translated the movie and dubbed the movie, they had to do something else. Maybe they just changed it to Darth Father, the English word, and kind of hoped for the best or something else. I don't know. But the point is, the language is not. I don't think language works that way, where it's like, the Amaury Sachet eCash just owns eCash forever, because there was David Chaum who had the original eCash, but there's also the generic idea of just starting with something like an e-bike, e-scooter, e-ink display, email, everything. There's just e-commerce. So it's just, yeah, and especially for them to be
no one really
ranked
trademarked. No one trademarked it, right?
I think it wouldn't really matter even if it did, right? Because what if Roger Ver trademarked Bitcoin and then he tried to say Bitcoin
Okay, are
Cash?
you happy, Vinicus? Are you happy? I shouted your stupid comment out. Can we move on?
Yeah.
Okay, I apologize.
I think it's a complete misunderstanding of how language works. It's just, in a way, I would certainly say that the fact that Amaury's eCash went all the way down, despite being a fork of a fork of a fork, where like 80 to 90% of the supply must be totally inactive, because it must be just people who are actual BTC owners who've never even heard of this and couldn't care less about it one bit. And the fact that the price is 0.000 with like 6 zeros going on, and that the whole trading volume is a tiny amount of money, like less than $3 million, and the entire market cap is less than $100 million. In a way, I think that proves that it's kind of like how everyone thinks, well, we could all be Satoshi Nakamoto except for Craig Wright. Like, Craig Wright's the only person who's not Satoshi Nakamoto. I would say that the poor performance of the Amaury eCash means that like they're the only ones who cannot be called. I would almost say that the only reason people are is because people they need to use the words to sort things out. They say, I'll put all the red shirts in this bin, put all the blue shirts in this bin. But this is no like they've kind of like tried it out and failed. But yeah, this has been asked about many times. They're very upset about it, and there's nothing we can do. I had a whole elaborate plan to help make them happy, and everyone can see what happened as a result. I had like pages of notes and explanations and like a proposal for them, and they invited me on their show, and then they were just like basically swearing at me and trying to say that I'm really terrible, and they didn't even let me get a word in edgewise, and then they actually kicked me off like 2 sentences into my speech. And so I had like this whole thing planned. You should blame Amaury for running the project a terrible way. But yeah, I think that's very funny. But on the thing, in the short conversation I had, I was like, okay, what about Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash? Because of course, Amaury Sachet, he's the one who created Bitcoin Cash. So they were like, oh, it's completely different. If you put cash on the end, it's completely different. So I was like, well, then what if I just say eCash.com for everything? And that's like kind of to be nice, but also for other reasons. That's kind of like what I did. Like, well, you mostly say eCash.com for stuff. So it's kind of like, well, then
hear me out, Paul.
Yeah. Wait,
Justin's
real quick.
Such a nice guy. He's happy to wait. What about gay cash? Okay, sorry, Justin, go for it.
Yeah, let's go.
It might be a good idea to buy some of this fork of a fork. The one that's 180 on coin market cap, just in case some of the attention that this is going to get, pumps it from a fraction of a penny up to anything.
And that's what I think. I was thinking like this is the best day. This is the best day they've ever had, is the fact that we could shine any light on their dying project. So I would agree that, honestly, and that was part of what I had. Again, I had like pages of stuff I was going to say about, and I also messaged Amaury like months before announcing it. When it would have been possible still to change the name of this project and maybe sell him eCash.com. Of course, after the announcement, that's completely impossible. So, but I messaged him before, and Amaury. So the whole thing is just like honestly completely baffling, and I think it just proves like how completely useless it is for anyone to even talk to them.
And I might add, as someone who helped bully Amaury off of Bitcoin Cash for months and months and months, the guy's a massive douchebag.
Well, I know that he's not very popular among lots of different people, and even like they split off. They kind of sabotaged Segwit2x in a way, which I was not a supporter of Segwit2x or Bitcoin Cash. But I was a supporter of Bitcoin having healthy competition, but they kind of split the vote. There was Segwit2x and Bitcoin Cash. Then as soon as Bitcoin Cash split off, there was like problems with like Omri wanting to get paid and putting a mandatory like tax for himself. So apparently he kind of like ruined Bitcoin Cash and also helped ruin BTC as well by just, again, because the only competitor, that's everyone's sole recourse. But we have to get to the important Free Samurai announcement. And this is very important because it's very arbitrary who's getting, some people get harassed by the government and others don't, and they've been given a very unfair. And I just assume that everyone's already familiar with the basic details, but just to refresh, they made basically a Bitcoin wallet that had some privacy features that weren't even that good. I don't even think CoinJoin is a good privacy feature at all. But they put out this software for free. One of them is like in his 60s and doesn't even live in the United States. He lives in Portugal. And these are just like two normal guys. I don't believe they really got. So they actually had they were prosecuted for the crime of unlicensed money transmission, but they had already gotten a letter from or information from, I think, the CFTC or whoever it was, saying that they are not a money transmitter. And I think even the prosecution knew about this but did not disclose it during discovery or something. So the point is they ran out of money. Because it's very difficult to go against the government. They had to take this terrible plea deal. They've been sentenced to prison for 5 years. We already got the pardon with Ross Ulbricht. So now people have been doing this Free Samurai stuff for a while, these fundraisers and things, but I was not happy with it because it's clearly not working. And, I ran into the wife of Rodriguez. I can't remember her name. Sorry about that. And Lynn Ulbricht. I've met Lynn Ulbricht a few times over the years. Of course, she's super nice as mother of Ross Ulbricht. She's really great. But, they were kind of going around like, anyway, long story short, I think what we should try is and I put this out yesterday, this is a $30,000 prize over a series of contests. And the contest goes like this. We're going to try to make it our mission in life to reduce the cost of Trump pardoning these two and optionally more people, because I think it could be to our advantage to staple other people to this, but I'll get to that in a second. We want to reduce the cost of Trump pardoning them as low as it could possibly be. Like imagine that the Trump people, they don't even have 5 extra seconds a day. We want to so the first thing is we must assemble this giant document with like all the facts, like in these different parts, where we literally need the text so that they don't even have to write the text of the pardon. We're just going to copy and paste the text from the Ross Ulbricht. But the point is we're going to make this big PDF file or a Dropbox link or whatever it is. But I think a PDF file is good that has summary, the exact text, the exact facts of the case. We need we're going to draft tweets that Trump could send. We're going to maybe see what we can put together in terms of like a photo op, like when they did I think it was called the Ibogaine or the psychedelic legalization fast tracking. He did that where he had Joe Rogan. They have all these people come in and they pass the microphone around. They all say, oh, Trump is so great for doing this. That's what we need to do because we need to set and the midterms are coming up. We have the Stand with Crypto. They already did a lot of work with this. There's a 52 million voter block. And we need to research, who's vulnerable in the midterms. And we just put all this information in a carefully crafted document that's phase 1. And then once we have the document, we just need to just get it out to political people of all stripes, definitely including Republican supporters of Trump, who may look at it and say, oh, this is a winning issue for Trump. I see we get Libertarian of Florida giving the heart, which is like, because this is similar to what Trump did for the Libertarian Party, where he went to the Libertarian Party and said, hey, vote for me. I'm actually a pretty libertarian candidate. And he had all that stuff about, he came and spoke at the Libertarian National Convention, which the Democratic candidates did not. Neither Biden nor Kamala did. But that's what we want. We want them to be fighting over our vote. And we want when someone who is, let's say someone who's who's that guy, Victor Hansen, or someone who's just like a big Trump supporter, someone who doesn't really care about crypto, but we want them to see this PDF. We want this to be the thing. We're going to optimize this meme basically and try to circulate it, phase 2, so that anyone who sees it will think, okay, this will just help Trump win the election because it's a good issue. It's a moral issue. And we all similarly, we want to shop it around to the Democratic Party as well. We want to say, hey, listen, you could raise this issue of Trump, the issue of hypocrisy, that he's leaving these 53 million voters behind. If he doesn't, and we just lay it out, 53 million crypto owners in the United States, and we lay out it's about technological progress, and these people are not criminals. They're not like, going down the train stabbing people or breaking into people's houses and stealing stuff. They're putting out open source software.
Yo, Vlad, why are you such an asshole to Paul? Paul, you got to land the plane, brother. Vlad, if you're going to host the fucking space, you got to help this man. What the hell are you doing? Paul, you can't go on for 20 minutes about the same fucking question, my guy. Seriously, we fell asleep.
All right.
5 minutes ago.
Well, the point is, go to the tweet. We're talking about Free Samurai.
Okay, thank you.
So go back a day to my tweet and follow it to the article. You can win $10,000 in the first phase. So check it out. It's a great opportunity for anyone who's it's not really, it has to be like a PDF. It has to be like a written thing. So it's probably if you're like a lawyer or someone like that, it's probably better for you to try it out. But it's very important. So I don't know if anyone has seen that or has any questions or thoughts about that. But please come on up and
I just want
share
to
your thought.
combine two of your points because Samurai Wallet was possibly one of the first wallets to adopt BIP110, and they were using something that's called paynims to generate cute robot avatars for every user of the wallet with a dedicated vanity address, like a name. And that was pretty cool. And now we're trying to get them out of prison, which is also cool. So yeah, everyone who heard this, give it a try. Try to figure out how you can help the cause and maybe claim that bounty. And also do something that's great for the entire industry, because I do believe that Bitcoin sort of died 2 years ago and maybe a few months when the Samurai developers were arrested. I think a lot of the privacy projects just disappeared, and it seems like Saylorism has remained as the dominant ideology in the space, and then the crazies started with their whole filtering situation. It seems like the timeline has been altered in the moment when these guys were arrested. And honestly, I was more of a fan of Wasabi, but also Wasabi shut down after Samurai got arrested. So, it's good to have some sort of privacy in Bitcoin. And it's really unfortunate that people like Arthur Hayes or whatever, who was like, oh, dump on the plebs, I need to buy another Ferrari in the internal chats. He got a pardon, but for the Samurai guys, it's more difficult.
Yeah, I also want to add that the Wasabi guys were probably federal agents, and they are probably the reason the Samurai guys are in jail, so let's not give them too much credit.
Really? How so?
Yeah, so they spent their entire business model running their service so that they could figure out how it works behind the scenes and undermine Samurai, talk shit about them on the timeline, call them criminals, and literally they were the number one haters of Samurai Wallet to date.
That is complete bullshit. Dude, they were doing fucking money services businesses without being licensed as being a money transmitter. Okay, I was warning all of those guys like 2 years in advance when they started doing semi-custodial fucking lightning payments. I'm like, dude, you guys are going to get fucking arrested. You're going to get taken in for being
who are you talking about?
Transmitter. All of them, fucking Blue Wallet, fucking Samurai.
Yeah, because Samurai, they were not into lightning really.
Anyway, point being is they were doing semi-custodial fucking things and they were getting paid fees for it. The law is very, very clear on this. They could have done everything for free and still be walking among us. But
Well, that's interesting. I
chose
don't think the
to
law. I don't think the law is very
so
clear.
there you go.
Personally, I find it mystifying. But I think that's an interesting idea that if they didn't charge a fee, they would be okay. I'm not sure that didn't work necessarily for who was the other guy in Florida.
Well, Blue Wallet
He was
shut down, and then there were a couple others. Wasabi shut down. They followed their cease and desist when they got it from the fucking feds.
Yeah, I should just point out that it's very hard to tell, but both Wasabi and Samurai, they hate each other and each accuse the other of being a Fed.
They're
And
not
just
feds.
personally, I do
they-
think that it's unlikely that the Samurai devs are Feds because they were arrested and prosecuted and then bankrupted and then put in prison. So I think, if
Yeah,
anything, it
but
means that.
the other guys, Wasabi actually followed the cease and desist and
Yeah.
ceased and desisted. So, yeah.
Mhm. I'm not quite sure if that's true. I don't know that much about it, but why would? Because I know some people, Francis Bouillot, I think, is a supporter of theirs and a user of theirs. It's hard for me to imagine that he would do that if they ceased and desisted or if they were a Fed. So it's a little confusing. Just
There
based
are
on how little everyone knows about 110 before weighing in, I'm prepared to believe that all the people weighing in on this don't necessarily know very much about it either.
Well,
But continue.
there's an equal chance that we're all competing interests here. That I'm a banker or I'm a Fed or whatever, even though I'm not. But the fact of the matter is, dude, we're all crypto users. And as far I wanted to comment on this eCash thing, I didn't know I could just unmute myself. Uh, if there are like 3 projects named eCash, name your shit something else. You're just gonna confuse people. I mean, and I'm not even gonna get into like legal stuff. Where they could be coming back on you and saying, "Hey, yo, we've been listed on exchanges for like 3 years. You have no right to name your shit the same as ours." So, yeah, I think you're just gonna confuse people, and you should probably look for another name. But we would
So the
accept
name is
we would
the
accept
name is
the
not
preemptive
changing.
rebrand. We would. We're flexible like
Well,
that here.
yeah, the name is not changing under any circumstances. So, but that's an interesting suggestion.
It'd be like if I made a vehicle and then called myself Volvo or Volkswagen or Ford. I mean, dude, really?
Well, we just talked about it for like 30 minutes why that's not the case. But
No, you talked about it.
yeah. What if I told you this? What if there was no Volvo and I was going to create a Volvo or a Ford, but then someone said, "Hey, somewhere in rural Siberia, there's a 5th grader who put out like a plastic cardboard sign, and with a Sharpie marker he wrote like Volvo $5, and he sold like a Hot Wheels car, but he didn't have any sales,
Did
and
he
no one
issue
had ever
stock and
bought
have it like
anything."
available globally and where people could participate in the
Yeah, no, yeah,
network?
you could buy it globally, but no
Yeah,
one did.
popularity
So I'm just
doesn't
asking
matter.
hypothetically, would you then say that no one can ever use the name just because a 5-year-old somewhere
That's right. No one
once
else
used
can
it?
use the name. It belongs to the 5-year-old.
Right. That's what you would say.
Yeah, that's exactly what I
Well,
would say. It belongs to
okay.
the
I
5-year-old,
know,
not
but is
me.
there a list? Is there a list of every time anyone has ever used a name? It's not even possible to comply with that rule.
Well, if that's the
Well, you
case, then
really
David Chom really owns the term eCash,
Of course.
right?
Yes, obviously, yes. Certainly Omri Sachet would not own it.
it's just a matter of confusion. Like, I mean, if you want people to pay attention to your
That's not
stuff
what you said.
specifically,
That's not what
the
you said. You
last
said if
thing
there's
you
a
want
5-year,
people to
excuse me, that's not what you said. There's a case where there would be no confusion because there's a pointless, absurd example of a 5-year-old in Antarctica where there would not be any confusion. But you said no, whoever gets to it first is the owner.
right.
So do you still believe that? Yes or no?
Yes.
Well, then it's David Chom would own eCash.
Thank you.
There you go. There you go.
Right. So when is Omri Sachet going to change the name?
So, are you going to change the name?
I'm asking the questions here. This is the KGB.
David Chom went bankrupt and gave it up. So to me, it's free game.
Well, I would think,
No, he gave up eCash.com.
yeah, I mean, the regents of the University of California, they would probably own his research, you know.
Yeah, but you see, this is the issue with like litigating this complex, fluid thing of a name, whereas instead it's just whoever owns the domain.
Well,
Does he still
much
have a
simpler.
live network?
and you know
Does he still have a live network?
another interesting little point that has nothing to do with us, but eCash is owned by some weird company. I don't even think they're in the United States that transfers money. So and they own the copyright to it. So technically, eCash doesn't even own it, and they don't care any because it has nothing to do with blockchain. So at least that's what Grok said. Maybe Grok lied to me.
Yeah, but this is really not fair because I can come up with a company and name it Bitcoin and say that I'm producing physical coins that have bits on them and whatever, and then claim the trademark. This is open source software that we're talking about. And these trademarks, like, we're not really companies building real products. We are open source projects that ship software and have users and advocates and marketers and whatever. So it's very different as a business model compared to a company that's actually in brick and mortar world building something which is tangible. So it's a lot more delicate when it comes to internet trademarks and domains and whatever. Even in the world of domains,
guys.
right? You have an expiration date. You register it up to a certain point, and as soon as you stop paying or you go bankrupt, you lose it. And I don't think it's fair, especially in this world where we had Craig Wright that was suing developers and trying to patent troll everyone in the space, that it was necessary for an association to get brought up and make claims against his claims just to be able to defeat him in court or whatever. So it's really not cool that we go back to trademarks and whatever. Like, if someone wants to use the same name, of course it's going to be confusing for some users, but it's a free market. And in the end,
before you
it's
guys
going
move
to be
super
the market
logical,
that chooses.
Can I just add that I just went to Bitcoin Talk, one of the holiest of data resources in the space, and I typed in eCash, and Ethereum Cash from 2017 is sitting right there on BitcoinTalk.com. So we're gonna have to go talk to that developer and get his permission.
Yeah,
I think,
exactly. No, many people have. Fediment was a version of Xiaomi eCash, is Cashew eCash project. They call themselves eCash.
Yep,
So
lots
that's
of
why the
projects
whole thing
call
is
them eCash.
absurd.
Yep.
Yeah, and as I said, it's like saying you have email or e-scooter or something, and it is what it is.
The NSA,
Yeah, it's too generalized.
the NSA has a paper from 1996 that says electronic cash.
Yeah, it's a very generic
Very
name.
generic.
It's like water.com or something. So it's not like the real reason behind all this is that I think Omri knows that his project is basically dying, and that the eCash name is basically the only shred of real value that it contains. And so this is the final nail in the coffin for him and the dev tax that he kind of extracts. And so I feel bad for him, but also I would plan on killing every single altcoin, including BTC. Now I don't know if we'll succeed, but that's the plan. So it's bizarre to shed any tear for something that's ranked 175.
Our wonderful friend Freedom Monk gave us the eCash chart. It's down 78% over 1 year. So I put that up top for reference while we're discussing this.
Yeah, it's quite funny that it's very, very, very low. Like, we would never, no one on earth can even name the top 177 or whatever, 167 that are ahead of in line. There's no one would be able to name them all, because many of them are just, by the time you cross onto the second page of CoinMarketCap, you're already in the graveyard. These are the failed projects that have been tried already. And these are already on the eliminated. These are on the eliminated list.
I just wanted to point out my objection is not adversarial toward you or your project or anything like that. I'm talking about for you as trying to be a successful project. You should probably have a very unique name something that completely separates you from the previous projects. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but it does though.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, your
Right.
project will probably succeed or fail on its own merits. So there
I
you go.
agree. I think the name is not that important, and you wouldn't believe the amount of bike shedding I get every day about every single thing about, oh, should we change the color to this or whatever, and a lot of it is ultimately not that important, but this is what people like to do, is they like to get involved on a decision that they can control. And so anyway, no one wants to talk more about Free Samurai. That's the most important thing. Okay, $30,000, $10,000 over the next 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, I'm
Free
definitely
Samurai.
definitely getting in, throwing my hat in the ring. When we were in Vegas doing our little happy hour thing, the wife of the main guy of Samurai
Rodriguez
Rally,
wife, yes. Mrs. Rodriguez. We should just call her that. I don't know why, because I can't
yeah,
remember her name either. But.
yeah, she came up to, I don't know why she came up to me, and she was all nervous, and she said, do you think we'll get him out? And I said, I'll tell you what I told Lynn Albright. I said it's not a matter of if, but when. Obviously he's only in for 5 years, but I truly believe that either the president or somebody will step in, because I fully support him, and they already gave up like what, $350 million was seized or something, some insane amount. And
this is something I wanted to bring up, which is that, okay, and so it's similar. If we staple more people in, there are other people that paid fines as well. Now, there's a big difference between getting the commuted sentence versus the full and unconditional pardon, which is that the pardon, I think that you either get that like refunded or you don't have to pay I'm not exactly sure, but I think there's like different levels of the pardon. And my guess is that Trump does not care one bit what line of text it says on the pardon after he's decided that the people are wrongfully imprisoned. So I'm just throwing this out here. I'm not trying to say any kind of quid pro quo or anything, but we got Free Talk Live guy, Ian Friedman, right? And Roger Ver. And so if we stapled like 6 other names into this, now I'm not saying we necessarily should, but it's probably not, it might make it easier to get the pardon because we could pool support from different people. And who knows, there might actually be lots of money unlocked. So I'm not going to say like giant, inflow of cash, like giant party if we succeed or whatever.
Add
but
SBF? Is SBF in this list or not?
absolutely
the thing, I think that would make it much harder. But I think, well, the funny thing about SBF, of course, is that as everyone has pointed out, he was apparently like a savant investor, because if he had just invested his own money in all this stuff that he bought,
he would have made billions.
He made an absurd amount. So the moral of the story, kids, is if you're a genius investor, just invest your own money. Don't steal other people's money that they left with you.
Yeah, I just tweeted something similar last few days ago.
That's the moral of the story, is that, he would be fine, because people are like, wow, if he had just whatever, then big if, because he absolutely did the wrong thing, and he's very unpopular too. It would be interesting, like, who knows how much crypto Sam Bankman-Fried and his parents and all these people have. I have no idea, because you would think if Trump, because everyone's always talking about how corrupt Trump is, right? This is a very, very common talking point about, everything's for sale. But the fact that Sam Bankman-Fried is still in prison, to me, that would kind of prove that either Sam Bankman-Fried doesn't have that much money anymore, or, Trump is not, everything's not for sale. I mean, doesn't that prove, it seems like that's a piece of evidence that just flies.
Or
completely
option 3, this is all a waiting game to get the most extraction out of him when he finally decides he's going to pay.
I would believe that. as well. But I would think, I think after the first 2 or 3 months.
I don't believe he was real. There's no way in hell he went around the world for 5 years in nothing but short khaki shorts and a t-shirt and sandals, and lecturing fucking legislators and regulators about how to do their job, and that he wasn't licensed with anybody. He didn't even apply for a fucking bit license. So you want to tell
Sam
me the
Bankman-Fried.
NYDFS, the
Well,
NYDFS sat there and
He
listened to
paid.
his bullshit without even
I mean,
asking? Hey, dude,
he
where's your
paid
bit
many
license?
different campaigns.
yeah, he donated, and also he would say stuff like, "Well, we have to operate in the Bahamas because the U.S. regulations are too." But then he was trying to say we should improve the U.S. regulations so that we can move back to the United States.
He was
So he
doing
did say a
business
lot of weird
in
stuff.
New York, so he was actually required by the NYDFS to have a fucking bit license by virtue of the fact he had customers in New York. But
Yeah, but isn't he
nobody
operating in
even asked him
Bahamas though?
about it.
And it's crypto. There's no
Nobody
bank
even
account.
asked him about it. No one
I would
ever
believe that.
asked him about it. That's why I say he's fake. Didn't exist. Just a fucking money laundering mill for the Democrats.
Hey, everyone.
It's possible. Hello. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Paul.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something. The point is, we got this Free Samurai thing. I think we could do it if we just rolled up our sleeves a little bit. Okay. Midterms are coming up. People are worried. Trump wants a mandate. Democrats want to counter mandate. Elections are coming up. We got a big voting bloc, 52, 53 million people. There's lots of money. There's lots of talent. So we need to assemble. We need to make it so that my working model is that the Trump campaign, the Trump staffers, the Republican Party, they're very, 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 very busy. So they need us to make this PDF so that they can just print it out, add it to their stack of stuff to read when they're on a plane or something. Some junior staffer somewhere reads through it and they decide, you know what? This has been researched very, very thoroughly. Here are all the exact facts. This is the worst case scenario. We say all the bad stuff up front. Also, we say all the facts. We say, listen, this is a voting block. It will make Elizabeth Warren and her war on crypto look bad. It will make Trump look gracious. We can put together. We'll see who we can get to volunteer. Ideally, we would be able to get, Jesse from Kraken, Brian Armstrong, all these people to agree to go to the White House for a photo op and pass around the microphone and say that it's so great that Trump is supporting open source. So ideally, we would get that. Will we get all of that? I don't know. But we'll see, if we can get people to volunteer, that would be really, really good. I don't know if we will be able to, but we can at least, we could draft tweets and stuff that Trump can send and say the whole thing is a witch hunt organized by the Democrats, which is basically true because it was all started in 2022 with the dark times. So that's Free Samurai. So hopefully, if anyone has any ideas at all of any kind, please send me a message.
Unironically, the culture has to become something along the lines of like there needs to be meme coins popping up on Solana to get the motherfucker out of jail type vibes. At that level of like, it needs to be a narrative. Right now it's very low key underground. Most people never use this kind of software or Bitcoin or whatever.
No,
right?
I never
so, like,
use
they don't really
Samurai
understand.
anyways.
Yeah, so they don't
matter.
even understand like what this guy, if he even did anything wrong. They just kind of think like Krev, like, oh, he broke the law, and then like.
That's why we need to have this counter antibody meme PDF where this is the one-stop PDF, and it's like a table of contents, and it just has everything you need to know, and there's no lies in it, and there's just.
Well, no, I don't know if that matters because
purely...
look at all the like the big events. People don't look at the details of what happened with like the guy that died.
Maybe not, but we need to put it all in one place to make it as easy as possible so that everyone knows this is the one stop.
I think it needs to be less is more simple.
There's going to be a one-page summary on the top.
People can't read.
It needs to be auto pin friendly.
Yeah, Paul. People don't know how to read in 2026. Have you looked at the literacy rate? It's fucked.
I think you're onto something there, but the pardon is in the form of a written document, so it's going to have to become a PDF at some point.
Can we do like a TikTok dance? That would be helpful, unironically. TikTok dances to free Roman Storm, and
if that would help, then we could try it, but I don't think that it will help. I think what will help is if we have actual numbers on these are the voters who will be voting in the midterms. X% of them own crypto. So wouldn't you like to have a nice talking point? And here's a list of people who will retweet your tweet. Here's a list of people who do photo op. and again, we could donate. If it was about money, we could donate to, super PACs or whatever.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, Ross
However-
didn't get out because of money. Ross got out because of his mother and the fact that everybody was talking about Free Ross for so long that
Yeah, I know, but how do you think that happens? It takes. Well, yeah, you got to start somewhere.
Right.
Even
right.
Charlie Kirk was talking about it. To
So
Trump.
the best way to virally
Yeah, I know.
spread the idea is the simpler social media blast type situation.
Yeah, but I
Versus,
think-
like writing it all out.
No, well, you might be right, but if so, I kind of am concerned for the world, because I think you have to have it kind of both ways, where there has to be some substance to it. I don't think it's just pure vibes, like if it is, then, it's kind of like maybe the vibes will just change and they'll just throw everyone in jail again. It's kind of like, at the end of the day, I think it's like live by the vibe, die by the vibe, whereas the substance is a little bit more, it's harder to change when it's so connected to reality itself. So I think that the people still respect that. Even if no one reads, they may open the PDF, glance at it for 14 seconds and think, it seemed like someone figured this out, and then just decide to go along with it. And if so, then I'll take it.
Maybe we should wait until the Clarity Act is passed.
Well, I don't think we should wait.
Clause
I don't
provision
think we should wait. Well,
privacy.
maybe, but I think we should just assume that.
You should never wait for feds or bankers.
I think we should just assume it's going to go very
How
slowly.
do we go about busting him out of jail? Can we just do that? Can we just bust him out?
Yeah, well, the problem with that is then they will find him later, so he won't be able to just walk around and hang out with his wife and stuff. So that's not really
True.
that big of an upgrade.
He did voluntarily surrender like a dumbass instead of going to Mexico. God damn it.
Remember, Ross had a big thing. The guy who's still in prison had a big plan on getting Ross out of prison. He said he was going to get a helicopter and go over the yard, and he was going to reach down and grab his arm and pick him up off the field.
Yeah. Like, so here's what I'm trying to. This is what I'm trying to say though. I'm not joking. Like, obviously this is serious. I'm just illustrating that these memes are far more entertaining to talk about. People will blast. They will make memes about breaking Samurai Dev out of jail, etc., far more than they will have an honest adult discussion about this. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but I think so. Like, how did Ross end up with all that stuff about the shirts?
Hashtag Free Ross and a bunch
no,
of
but
Bitcoin
how do you end up
maxis?
with hashtag? How do you end up with all these people talking about it? Which is that the people
Because
realize that it's
part
in
of
their
their
own
identity.
interest.
No, it's
I
part
agree.
of their identity.
I agree,
So,
but that's what you want people to you show people someone who doesn't care about this. Like I was talking about Victor Davis Hanson or someone like that. Where, by the way, he certainly reads, and Tucker Carlson or whatever, which maybe he can read. I don't know. It's unclear, but
I got that.
these type of people where you would show them this thing and they would look at it and they would say, it doesn't matter what they think about crypto or samurai. They would just read it and they would think, okay, the pardon would help Trump win because it would result in this photo op. It would result in these grateful people. It has this huge 53 million voting demographic. So they would say purely to help Trump win, or I don't know what Tucker Carlson wants these days because I haven't looked in a while, but assuming that he's still conservative, they would add it into their stuff to say, and then eventually you end up with
Okay, but how
shirts.
often did we discuss when we talked about Free Ross? How often did we discuss the fact that the FBI agents were now in jail? They broke the law over and over.
Yes,
like all this
sometimes.
I
knew about it. I knew about it.
You guys are
and
two of the biggest fucking nerds I know on crypto Twitter. Okay, first.
Yeah,
off.
but that's what I'm saying. Is it starts with. It's like there's some people are easy to get and other people are hard to get.
Most people just knew hashtag Free Ross, even though if he killed the guy or not, whatever.
Yeah,
the
but
fuck,
they
didn't
copy.
care.
But they copy the smart people they like. They copy the
By the way,
readers that
I'm
they
the
like.
guy he was supposed to kill if anybody cares.
Lol,
Yeah.
Omega lol.
Curtis Green, he's here. He was the guy who.
Hello, Curtis. That's pretty funny.
He survived though.
Wait, do you see the point though? Like they don't care about a lot of the details. Is my point. They just say
A lot of
hashtag
people
Free Ross.
don't, but some people do.
So we need the hashtag free.
I love it.
But I think what Paul is saying is the influential people
Y'all
the
motherfuckers
facts
got
matter.
no
They will
influence
want to know
anymore.
that it's not. They will want to know that it's not just a
If you
lie
don't
or a
got the
scam.
dumbasses like Ansem and fucking these idiots, that's the retarded influence this industry now. And you guys are kind of washed up. I'm sorry. Let's be real. Me too. Like we got to get the memes. We got to
All
get the
right.
memers on this shit. We can't just rely on the Bitcoin retard maxis. Okay.
Dude, I tried warning Samurai Wallet and Tornado Cash and those guys when they were starting their business, and I was looking at what their thing did. I'm like, you guys are going to get pulled out for fucking money transmitting. Whether or not you're actually guilty of it, that doesn't matter. It's how they choose to interpret the law. And as far as Ross Ulbricht is concerned, he never should have gone to prison. He fucking made a website. That's all he was responsible for.
Well, yeah, you could say the same about the privacy devs, though. So, like, why are we here? Because the memes aren't strong enough, and the government didn't understand that there's like a bunch of people here that are gonna do this regardless, and they should just chill.
Well, the difference there is that those services actually compete with banks. You know.
Yeah, but fixed float's still online, and no one's going to go after them. You don't even know who they are because they're criminals, and like that's what we're gonna get stuck with if they don't let the honest guys build privacy tech. Like they know that, right? They should know that. Like they're not getting side shift. They're not getting fixed float. They're not getting any of these guys because they're in Russia and shit using decentralized protocols. Like
that's smart on them then.
Well, they're gonna break the law. Okay, these guys are trying to follow the law and like dox themselves and be American about it, and they get fucked. Like how is that cool? We need to make the memes about breaking them out of jail because that's the popular thing to get everyone to be like, what the fuck are these guys talking about? Oh, these Americans went to jail for privacy tech. That's it. Done. Shut the fuck up. Let them digest that. All right. That's it. Well, you guys go hard with all this nerdy shit.
No, but I think here's the thing. I think the two strategies complement each other because memes are funny and they get people's attention. They spread quickly and they're great. But I think you still need to have something where someone says, what's all this about? Then you could just be like, bang, link them to the PDF. And then just drop the issue and ignore them, and you can be like, well, hey, everything you need to know is in here, and you can read it if you want, or you can just not read it. But here it is. So I think that the two strategies I think complement each other. Anyway, phase two.
Now, what are you doing again with the? You're running some sort of contest on.
Yes, I am.
For the Free Samurai guys to write a.
That's right.
Okay, I'll go check out your site.
I have a big outline to get people started. I'm sure the outline plus Fable will probably get us like 80% of the way there. And then I'm hoping, because it's a contest, you have to win, you have to beat the other people. Prizes for first, second, and third. 8,000 for first place, 1,000 for second and third place. Then we revise it twice. And I think just free alpha for all of you listening, the winner will probably be someone who combines it with the probably at least Ian Freeman. It's hard though because it's hard to really replicate the context of how small Bitcoin was in 2014. And even Roger Ver was accused of like misreporting his Bitcoin taxes in like 2013, which is like, are you kidding me? In 2013, if you called up the IRS and you said, I want to pay taxes on my Bitcoin, they would have just laughed at you. And instead, Roger hired this super expensive world-class law firm, and I'm certain that he did exactly whatever they told him to do.
Oh, yeah.
Although who knows if they even knew. But the point is,
he had 2 months. The statute of limitations was 2 months before the feds nailed him.
Yeah, clearly they, I think it's clear to me that they wanted to make an example out of him just because he was a very prominent Bitcoiner, which is really sad.
Well, and he also pissed off a lot of traditional Bitcoiners, and I think they had a vendetta against him. And
he had a lot of enemies.
And enemies, and so they pushed the government to kind of do that. That's my opinion, anyway. But it was.
Yeah, it's very easy for me to believe that certain people shall remain nameless, but they could have easily compiled an extremely specific technical document because there's like the 15% finder's fee also. So it's very easy for me to believe that one of Roger Ver's haters made like a giant report like what I'm saying about Samurai, but evil version. and sort of sent it over and kind of that's what we want to do with the Free Samurai thing. We want to serve it on a silver platter. We want to say, here's all the facts, we did all the work, here's all the ways in which arguably maybe they were guilty, just to put that in there so that Trump knows that he can trust, and Trump's team know that they can trust the document. Because they're already in prison, so it's like whatever. We should put stuff, we should put anything in there that helps them trust the integrity of the document, and then so that's what we need to do. We got to serve it up on a silver platter so that they don't have to lift a finger every time they check something in the document. They find, this document is exactly accurate. Everything in here is true, so that when we say that this is a totally pointless crime about people writing open source code, and this is nothing at all like unlicensed money transmission, and there's enormous amounts of actual fraud taking place in other systems that's never prosecuted, and this whole thing is ideological, and that it's a chilling effect on innovation and entrepreneurship. So they believe all that when we actually say that. And then he just says, yeah, whatever. Trump's like, yeah, he needs a photo op on a random Wednesday, and we can make that happen for him. At least I hope we can. I could call in a few favors. Hopefully we get some people to volunteer to go. Obviously, Trump is an extremely controversial figure.
I think someone using AI slop to make an AI slop break them out of jail video game on Flash, and put it on a website, that would probably get way more engagement and success than like we could actually get some momentum here than us having a pipe dream of Donald Trump saving our ass. Like, are you guys serious?
Well, what do you mean other than that about breaking them out?
We have to ask the next guy. Donald Trump's not doing shit for you, bro. Are you kidding me?
Well, it won't matter because it's a 5-year timeline. So
the reason they're in jail and the Wasabi devs are not is because the Wasabi devs followed the FinCEN blacklist or blacklisted coins.
I don't know. That may be true. That could easily be true. I don't know enough about it. It could be. But the reason why we have to try
the reason why something like Railgun right now on Ethereum is allowed, and also why Tornado Cash is still around, but they have this filtering where they receive from blockchain analysis firms a list of UTXOs that are not supposed. Actually, on Ethereum, they don't have UTXOs. They have accounts, addresses. So they do have like a list of participants that they're not allowing to join, and maybe that's what makes them fine. Honestly, what I think got the Samurai developers in trouble was the social media activity, where I think after the Ukraine war started, they were tweeting, well, Russian oligarchs, if you want to launder your money or whatever, come use Samurai or whatever. So I think that's what got them in trouble. The speech. It wasn't necessarily the tool itself. It was the perception of what you can do with the tool.
I agree. I think they had very edgy marketing, which was terrible when they had to like have they were in a situation where the prosecution could have like printed it up and make a big poster board of the tweet and like shown it to the jury, and it wouldn't look out of context or not as a joke. It would have looked really bad. So I would completely agree. The reason we have to try now, because I just want to quickly say we have to try now because the midterms will be over soon, and then if David BIP110 fake 110 is right that we have to go to the next president, that will already be another like 2.5 years. So there'll already be like 3.5 years into the 5-year sentence, and so it'll kind of just like won't be as worth it. So this is the only time.
I wanted to say, everyone, to please donate to Curtis Green to his GoFundMe. And then specifically, I know that I read Curtis's book. He's here on stage, and I wanted to say that you can, if there was some way that you could petition the government to give you back the Bitcoin that you legally mined, that's rightfully yours, and that was mined on your computers, in such a way that they can save face and not make them look bad, that would be the best way to do it. But I don't know how that would go about or how to do that.
Yeah, everyone should donate to Curtis Green's GoFundMe. Hopefully you can find the link to it. Someone put the link. Hopefully. That would.
Curtis, I'm just gonna be real with you, brother. You're probably better off launching a Solana shitcoin, getting it over with, my man. Welcome back to the mud. Let me just say the mud is the best metaphor you can give it. And all these fucking assholes ain't donating shit. They're assholes now, bro. They don't got no libertarians left around this bitch. They're all a bunch of Solana shitcoiners. They always want to fork each other's shit and talk shit about each other behind each other's back and work with fucking Chinese government and praise the fucking Wallahi. Michael Saylor bought more coins. Like I don't know. The better way is just to drop the Solana shitter, I think, and then be like, I'm the guy that etc. Solana shitter head. Here's my banner. Here's my ticker. It's probably easier.
You're probably right.
Maybe if Curtis, you could talk to some lawyers, maybe, make some kind of contingency arrangement and go after those Bitcoin. That would be cool. It's something you might take off if it's a reasonable shot.
Yeah,
it's a good idea.
There's so many. My where I screwed up was I only had so many years because the cops violated my civil rights, and I didn't know that. I was just getting myself out of my own mess, and had I paid more attention.
He's saying the statute of limitations may be up on them.
Yeah, they're up on them. Yeah, and if I was thinking straight, I could have not only gone after them, but I could have gone after the federal government because they were under they were doing it under their duty. They were doing it under while they're working, and it wasn't on the side. But it is what it is, and I missed that opportunity, I guess. But all I can do is
didn't two FBI agents go to prison?
Yeah, well, one was
the Bitcoin.
Yeah, one was a DEA agent, and one was a Secret Service agent. He was on the Obama detail. At the same time, he was stealing the Bitcoin, and what he was doing was he was stealing the Bitcoin and making it look like I stole it. He was making vanity addresses, like the first vanity address. Catherine Hahn, the old Coinbase vice president, she's the one who prosecuted it. And she goes, we looked at that vanity address. It was number one, and it was Curtis Green, SR. And they who in their right mind would send 1,000 Bitcoin, stolen Bitcoin with their own name on it. So that was my first help that Sean Bridges gave me, and then they cashed most of it out, and then he hid it. He hid like 2,000 or 3,000 Bitcoin, and he lied about it until he was prosecuted, sentenced, and then they found it, and then they added a couple more years to it. So, which they got off very light. They got, I think, 6 or 7 years apiece. But for what they did, I had to testify in their. I didn't testify in their trials, but I testified as a victim. And they were just so evil. They were just, everything that they did was, you just can't describe. I would, let's put it this way: I'd like a room just 5 minutes with Sean Bridges. but yeah, they have nothing. They just did everything in their power to to make who are they going to believe? They're going to believe federal agents. I mean, here he was in the NSA and the Secret Service, and then the DE agent, or they're going to believe a guy that worked on Silk Road. I was an easy patsy for him, and if it wasn't for the blockchain, this is where I was going. The blockchain saved my ass because it showed all the transactions. It was where they went. It was the perfect paper trail, and and I thought, oh, thank God for the blockchain.
Yeah,
Or
just think if those agents had used Samurai, they might have gotten away with it.
exactly,
And then, yeah.
ex- exactly. So but I'm still for the samurai guys getting out. But still though, that would have caused a lot of problems for me had because the
Yeah, I was
government
joking.
but the government didn't give a rat's ass about me working on Silk Road. What they cared about, they wanted those 30,000 Bitcoin that I apparently stole. That's all they cared about. And I'm like, well, I didn't steal it.
I mean, I'm
What
not
else
gonna
can I
lie,
say?
Curtis. If just the fact that you could have had 30,000 Bitcoin and you don't right now, it's on you, bruh. Like, chalk it up to you better get into the trenches. You better get a fucking Phantom wallet. You better throw $20 at a rug. You better get in
I
it
know I
with
got to
us.
start DCA. I got to start dollar cost averaging right now. Oh, brother. What a time.
Well, you still, maybe Joe's right. Like, you might want to, I know this is the last thing that David wants to hear, but you might want to type up all the facts into like a bullet point, and then you could go to, because a lot of them, they'll take it contingent, which is like they don't get paid unless, you pay nothing unless they win. And maybe the whole thing is just so embarrassing for the government that even though
Oh,
I don't know how the timeline works, but I would rather you hear it from someone with lots of experience, these giant
I just find it
firms.
crazy you guys still have faith in the system. That's all. I mean, good luck. I have fun. I hope you the best.
Okay, wait.
I'm
Can I
not-
just
sue
ask?
the
I'm
So
government
he's
not
from.
anyway.
down.
Wait.
It's possible.
Maybe.
I mean,
I'm
there
just
might be a
curious
problem
about
with
this.
statute of limitations, but yeah. Go ahead, Paul.
There might be, but of course, but I'm not sure. Like, if the amount is really big, doesn't it like start to like go up to like being like doesn't it eventually become like a class A felony or something? And then I don't know the rules. I don't know any of the rules. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just curious about David BIP110, not his real name, but he's from, what is he, from Washington, not France. And I'm just wondering how old you are. I just want to know, because there's like, there's
Like
waves
35.
there's waves of like cynicism. There's like generational waves,
I'm having a midlife crisis, and I've spent the last 15 years arguing about Bitcoin. I apologize for
I
being a
know.
little bit pessimistic.
So you're like about 35, you say.
Yeah.
See, I would have thought that would have made you like a hardier millennial because you lived in the before time, before when there was only AOL Instant Messenger
I've spent
in high
the
school.
last I don't know how long. Like, I started with Bitcoin obviously, but then I got into like every altcoin. Like, literally worked on half the core team altcoin shitcoin projects you guys made fun of forever, because these guys didn't know anything about anything. So I would just go around helping them understand crypto. But like, yeah, I did DeFi, I've done shitcoins, I've done everything. I'm just tired. I'm exhausted. I hate all of you. I think everyone's a LARP. We've gone down such a wrong path with crypto. Like, the best thing I can do is sit around in ordinals and make fun of people as a Bitcoin puppet these days and not lose my mind. Because everyone's LARPing and everyone's jerking each other off. And then Michael Saylor shows up and they want to suck his dick. And it's just like, I don't even recognize this industry anymore, honestly. So, yeah, I'm just kind of joking half the time.
I mean, I agree with a lot
As
of that, like
someone,
how the industry sucks. Oh, sorry.
no, I agree with that too, but I just wanted to point out that as somebody who's been involved since the very beginning, I can easily state that it's always been this way, and we only noticed it because we got involved in it.
Yeah, that's fair. No, I get it. I don't know. It's just too much to talk about for me personally. Like, if you guys want to listen to me, yeah, for a fucking hour maybe, but you don't want to. But yeah, I feel you. It's just like I said, I just do Bitcoin puppet troll people. Like, right now, we're trolling the BIP110ers because it's fun, not because they're intimidating or anything. It's just like we got nothing else to do, right? So let's go make fun of these retards. And that's the life. That's the life of I'm stuck here. I can't leave. I didn't get 30,000 Bitcoin like Curtis did and lie about it for 15 years and then hiding in an island somewhere. I can't do that. I have to earn it. I got robbed, so I have to earn it back twice, and then I lost it all on shitcoins and NFTs, so I got to earn it back again a third time. Like, I don't have any hair left. What do you want from me?
Dude, if you've got that much IQ in this space under your belt, you could start an altcoin yourself. You
I
already
forked
know all the
Bitcoin.
mistakes
I forked
everybody else
Bitcoin
has
7
made.
years ago, and it's still running. It's called Devault, and we're updating it with on-chain ordinals right now. Thank you though.
Good. I hope it doesn't have a block size limit because that's the only thing holding Bitcoin
It's at
back.
32 megabytes right now because no one uses the chain. But we could adjust it. We don't care. We're just trying to do everything on chain on a Bitcoin UTXO stack without going to L2s, and we're gonna make Paul's coin go to 0. Sorry.
But seriously,
Competition
we
is
wanna get
good.
rid of the block size limit because
I'm
like
pro
the
competition.
way they began enforcing it, they set it to where it didn't even go into effect until 2014. So like if you look back at Bitcoin's adoption, if you look between 2012 and 2014, it was the greatest retail expansion that it's ever had. And as soon as we could no longer depend on our transactions being included in the next
Yeah, you're
block,
talking to someone
all
who's
that
a
shit went
big
away.
blocker, Krev. You know this. Come on, don't lecture me, brother.
I'm just saying for the crowd here.
Okay for the crowd, sure. Hi, I'm dancing. You guys want to see my dick? No. Paul, I think the thing is like I want to before we get to Paul's solution for scaling, I want to see us do what you're saying. I want to see us pump as much L1 activity as we can humanly push reasonably so that the chain still works properly and all that stuff. But I don't want to see this 10-minute block. I want to see 2-minute blocks. I want to see, 32 megabyte on L1 Bitcoin, stuff like this. And people going to yap about their Raspberry Pis could eat my asshole.
Okay, but first of all, haven't we done that already? Haven't we seen people push the boundary on L1, which include Bitcoin SV as well as Solana?
I'm not. No, because then you guys all disregard the argument that the reason Bitcoin is in charge isn't because of tech. The reason because it's charged because it has the most fucking velocity of brand and things like this. Like everyone just throws all that out the window and they're like, well, look at Bitcoin Cash, that failed. So obviously the technicals are irrelevant. Like that's the dumbest. Don't do that, please. You can make me mad.
So right now,
not because of tech.
Not the 1 megabyte block
Bitcoin's
size on Bitcoin
decisions are
is full.
inferior to reality, guys. Come on.
Right now, the 1 megabyte block size on Bitcoin isn't full. So I don't see it's a binding constraint right now.
You know why it's not full, Joe? You know why it's not full? Because we spend 12 hours a day telling people to go use Solana and not onboarding them to Bitcoin and telling them that Bitcoin isn't meant for anything except for you holding Michael Saylor's bags. That's what we tell them.
Yeah, it's not all about marketing though. Like the fees are low. They could use it. They don't. We got to make Bitcoin useful, obviously.
We do. What do you think half the transactions are right now? Do you even know what's going through the mempool right now? I do. It's not Bitcoin transactions. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, let me just ask you this.
And fees are zero.
It's a bunch of shit coins on indexers. That's what it is.
Sure, but okay. So here's the thing. You said we need to do is push L1. That's what you said. And I'm just saying. I'm just asking. What does that mean? Like, what would it look like if we did that?
I want to see
what
full
are you waiting
blocks.
for?
I want to see 2015, 2016 full block Steam adoption levels of usage again. And then,
well, I thought, shouldn't you just launch more ordinals?
Sure. Well, we got this
Can't
company. Have you ever heard of Blockstream?
I think it would literally, guys, right? To fill up the blocks today. I mean, if it's really 1 sat per VByte, it would cost you like literally like $20.
Labs, Paul? Have you heard of Adam Back? Have you heard of the federal government? Okay, so they all want us to believe that using L1 is a sin and we're polluting the world.
Especially Luke also.
Use Lightning, and we use Lightning Network, and we should open a channel, and we should open 1.5 billion channels to scale to current activity levels. And that we should not realize that Lightning requires a larger block size, and that we should lie to people endlessly about the future of Bitcoin without proving it right now, and all these other stupid things. So like you guys hit me with this. Well, go fill up the blocks. Like, well, what do you think Ordinals is doing? Why do you think I'm in Ordinals? I'm in Ordinals to, unlike everyone else who wants to run off and do their own thing and cry about boohoo, I am actually here trying to push the block size to be used properly. And everyone's bitching and moaning. Oh, it's spam.
I know, but you were saying instead of the eCash August ECX hard fork, instead of my idea, you're saying instead.
I like your idea, but I'm just saying, like, I hate that we're getting.
You say I prefer to push L1, and then you say it has to be like it was in 2014, 2015, but that's how it was in 2014, 2015, and that did not immediately result in the utopia, right? So that can't be the only ingredient.
Because of politics, though.
Well, that's part of what this project's trying to solve.
Why doesn't Steam accept Bitcoin anymore? Because the minimum fee is too high, right? Because it's too unstable, and you don't know what you're going to pay.
The delay also.
RBF was the original sin. I will sit on that. I will die on that hill.
I think even framing it in terms of fees is actually misses the point also, which is to say when the blocks were full, you wouldn't necessarily know how long it would take to even get. So people would try to pay, then it wouldn't go through, and they would call customer service.
That's why we wanted bigger and bigger blocks and a faster block time. That solves that problem.
Yeah.
Supposed to be including them as we receive them, not resorting them based on the transaction fee.
Yes.
Yeah, so BitPay would get, I think they said like 45 times as high the customer service
Peter
call
Todd
volume.
is a federal agent. Amari Sechin is a federal agent. Luke Dashjr is a federal agent. Adam Back is a federal agent. Greg fucking everyone's a federal agent. Like, what the fuck? Why are we stuck in a room with federal agents, guys?
Everyone I don't like is a
Greg
Fed.
Wright is definitely a federal agent.
Can I ask about the block size wars? I feel like there's some important details that are not in the book, The Block Size Wars. Can anyone that was around that era?
You're talking about Jonathan's book. I couldn't quite hear.
Yeah.
You were just saying, was anything omitted from the book?
Like, is there anything important about Block Size War that's not in that book? Correct.
I got to go flip through the book and quickly reread the entire thing to remember exactly what's in there, because I know what really happened because I lived through it, and I read the book.
Yeah, I know what,
but
really
I can't remember what's not. I can't remember.
But the thing is we all live through it, but we all think different things. So what the fuck actually happened?
I've talking to Jonathan a few times, and I think he and I actually agree on that the Orthodox story is not accurate, and he and I agree that really mostly what happened was the large blockers were a little too overconfident in their ability to pull off the hard fork. It had very little to do with who was right about the block size war, and they kind of, Mike Hearn was pushing for XT, and they thought this between having all these big companies, BitPay and Coinbase, and 83% of the miners on our side, we represent the real center of gravity in Bitcoin. And so then they had a number of ham-fisted implementations. So imagine large blocks are a really good idea. You got to separate the idea from the execution. It's just purely a statement of fact that whatever they proposed was not large blocks. They proposed Bitcoin Classic 2 megabytes, Bitcoin XT was 8 megabytes, Bitcoin Classic was 2 megabytes, and then Segwit2x was sort of like 4.4 megabytes, so it's kind of hard to explain exactly what that was. And then finally Bitcoin Cash. So even if you thought large blocks were the answer, that was never put forward by them. And in fact, Gavin Andreessen, I remember specifically, he tweeted and he went on Reddit and he said, no one is proposing an unlimited block size. So back then, no one was pushing.
If we had the same conversation now, like, we can't keep going back and saying, okay, well, we decided this 10 years ago. We decided this 10 years ago. Like, the circumstances are now different.
I'm not saying we should. The question was what happened in the book.
Sure,
that was different. And so I'm saying 100%. The author of the book, and I agree that what really happened was the large blockers, they kind of didn't, they jumped the gun on various things. They tried this and that, and they jumped the gun and kind of failed. And that's what happened. It actually had very little to do with.
I have a more nefarious take on what wasn't included, because he didn't like, the book isn't really in like a conspiratorial way, right? Like, it's just more about like a personal view of the things and like some other people's view too.
Yeah.
Like, if you go to conspiracy level stuff though, like
sure.
we now know that like Epstein funded in part, some Blockstream stuff. We now know a couple of these weird modern, takes on things that like, and then you take all what Epstein was into, what they were doing. Clearly, there could have been, in a conspiratorial way, an effort to, inspire some form of early control into Blockstream, with like Austin Hall being a co-founder with Epstein, these kind of things, right? Like, these relationships that sort of create perverse incentives like within the team. And then like people like Greg Maxwell, clear Fed, there's something wrong with that guy. All these guys have something wrong with, like, Luke Dashjr. I don't know how the fuck got to the point. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird, bro. It's weird. It's like they put people in charge of things because they have control of them. And that's what it feels like to me everywhere I look in this fucking space these days. And it's like, how do you not?
I think we don't need the ad hominem though, because if
ad hominem.
But if they are, it's true that they are weird, and it's true they have bizarre personalities.
How is that ad hominem?
Greg
literally goes out and he literally tells us on Reddit to our face that he's doing botnets to silence us. Like, what?
Yes, of course. And he called himself as master of socks, like master of sock puppet.
That's not like something we call. Hey, that's a Fed. That is a federal fucking agent. Are you serious?
Well, here's the thing. It doesn't matter who says it. If it's either true or it's false, and then you can always play this game where you can say, well, actually, he was a Fed, but he was a good Fed. He was secretly trying to sabotage the Feds. And then you can say, actually, he was never a Fed. It was a reverse. You can do, you ever see that cartoon Spy versus Spy? You can always like switch the plot
100%.
at
But
the last
all I'm
minute.
saying is we can't be too nice. Obviously, there would be some sort of level to this where they would apply those kind of pressures to the space, right? Like, why is it so crazy for someone like me to say there's a large-scale botnet trying to manipulate our opinions on cryptocurrency subject matter so that we can't get ahead like we did with Bitcoin? When Bitcoin had the Cambrian explosion of ideas that came with it, we can't keep doing that because the government cannot keep up with that. So they are forced to try to contain that system, right? Like,
This gets us aware. All this Fed talk, there's no proving it. There are bad arguments on both sides, and you can call anybody a Fed. And we have to address the arguments. It sounds bad if you call everybody a Fed, even if you're right. It's just this, we can't get anywhere from this.
It's more important. I agree, Joe. And I think that it's more important to recognize that we're all cryptocurrency users. That's what Satoshi actually did. He made us all fucking end users of this tech. And nobody's word here is any more valuable than anybody else's. It's what you do that really matters.
Yeah, which is why
I agree.
So going back to the block size stuff, again, it's also kind of like, okay, we're arguing over what exactly caused the reduction in usage in Bitcoin. I mean, I can look at it right now and see nobody's using it right now. Only 1 megabyte block size, so that's not the limit, but you have some other theory, okay, fine. But the point of drivechains is that you guys can have your large block.
What are they using in this space, though? How many transactions are happening on other chains? Like, look at Solana. Like, it's because the fee is so small and it's so instant that now the users, they just all go.
Instant is a separate thing. That's a separate dimension, though. We're just talking about block size.
Okay,
we could, sure. But we got to keep it simple.
Sure, but block size does lead into finality, though, right? So let's be fair.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Block space is what defines whether or not we can have virtually instant transactions. Before we started enforcing the block size limit, it was less than 10 minutes because your transaction was certain to end up in the next block.
No, but it depends on node policy. It's not that simple.
No, I'm telling you, it is that.
I was there.
2010, somebody introduced the block size limit, and even back then, people were saying, "Oh, it's got to be Satoshi's more than one person because this guy thinks DDoS attacks are going to work against Bitcoin," which they aren't, and they're not effective against it. Anyway, point being is that even back then, people were saying that whoever introduced the block size limit probably wasn't Satoshi. And that it drew so much contention in that people started saying that, oh, there's more than one guy. There's a group called Satoshi. And it wasn't that there was a group. It was that they found Satoshi, they killed him, and then they used his accounts to introduce that shit.
So this is a theory, but I would just say, like, it doesn't matter, right? Paul fixed this. Right now, there's unlimited block size across
space has.
It's history, though.
Biggest stumbling block we've had.
It's history.
Microsoft taking direct
on-chain
payments.
No, we gotta move on. Does it change anything about the plan going forward?
You're back to fucking bankers running everything again.
Okay, I just want to say we only have 11 minutes. We only have 11 minutes left. So, the goal is kind of to have all the, the haters of eCash join, which they rarely do.
I can be a hater. You want me to hate real quick? I can hate.
Well, people would rather just talk about the fashions of the day. They'd rather talk about 110 or whatever, which is fine. We can indulge to some extent. I just want to remind
one hater. Can I get one hater point in for the people down there?
Please, especially if you've heard someone else be a hater, you could.
I've been to all these spaces. I've been to all these spaces, Paul. I listened to you yap for years. All right, we are in the modern Zoomer era of ADHD. You gotta like simplify your points a lot more and get to the point within like 2 to 4 minutes. Otherwise, you lose these motherfuckers down there. I'm sorry. That's why you always get these same nerdy group of people down here and not like, what's eCash? There's a Bitcoin fork coming? Whoa, bro, let's check. You need the retards in here. So you got to kind of cut the explanations down a little bit. It's really hurting you. I'm not going
to lie. Okay, great. Thanks. This reminds me, have you ever seen that movie Amadeus? When the guy's giving Mozart, he tells him you didn't give them a good bang at the end of songs to let them know when to clap. And then Mozart says, maybe you can give me lessons in that. But the point is, hey, did you ever hear Milton Friedman has this line about there's idea manufacturers and idea distributors and wholesale. The quote is actually longer, but I'm going to shorten it for your benefit. Which is that some people come up with the ideas, and then other people, you got like a Neil deGrasse Tyson, you know what I mean? He like ships it to the Joe Rogan world, and then the Joe Rogan he ships it, he like retails it to his, and then there's a lot of people don't listen to any podcast.
We need to get Vlad an editor so he can do the clipping shit. The clipping shit's all the heat right now on all the social media platforms. Like 30
people love the clips.
clips.
People do the clips.
Yeah, the clips is all that matter right now.
People do the clips.
I'm not sure anybody could clip you though. Your clip would be like 5 minutes long, you know.
Well, the Free Samurai, I think it's just kind of a separate case, but
yeah, we need a TikTok dance.
Sorry, I didn't hear. What did you say?
I said we need a TikTok dance and all the memes and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, we can go back to talking about. If no one has, I just wanted to remind everyone we're in the last 9 minutes, so we can go back to talking about the block size or what we should do with this Satoshi.
BIP110's hot right now. Y'all are sleeping on this, right? You guys gotta jump into the argument a little more, even though it's dumb and pointless and all that, and it's never gonna happen.
I think it's funny you guys are all 110.
Yeah, this is the whole thing. Is like they won't talk to the ordinals people, so we're gonna infiltrate. You know, I think you guys should infiltrate a little bit too. Put it at docs. No PFPs. Only adult white guys, okay? This is the key, right? It has to be an adult white guy. It has to have laser eyes. And nothing else matters. If you put hashtag BIP110 in your name, you automatically get followers. So if you suck at Twitter, you know, that's a good way to get some followers. Just hashtag BIP110 in your name. And then
the mechanic. The fake mechanic guy who is Muck-Anik, and he does the imitation of him.
It's beautiful.
That was incredible. That was very funny.
There's Luke's lawyer, Ocean's lawyer. He's a parody. There's so many parody accounts to the point where I go into these spaces and I'm thinking like, wait, half of these motherfuckers are parody accounts. What am I doing up here right now? Like, there's not really any. Like, there's more parody accounts than.
Well, the joke's on you. This is why he was talking about ad hominem, is because what if they reveal to you at the end, and then Luke says, I myself this whole thing was a parody. It was all just for entertainment. We were never going to do BIP110.
That's what he's going to say.
And you have just we've tricked you. It was all about tricking you.
100%.
So that's why.
I think Shamari wants to ask a question about the GitHub.
Okay.
He's not in the chat. See, here's the thing. Shamari's not in the chat. He still doesn't want to download a chat program to ask a question, so he waits for the space.
Fair enough.
To ask
this is all he's got.
Technical questions.
Welcome to the stage.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Just really, I realize this is not, appropriate for me to be engaging with you here, but do you have another way that I can directly communicate with you regarding some of the issues with the issues in the GitHub? Because I've tagged you several times, and you haven't really engaged at all in the issues.
Did you tag me?
Yeah, TruthCoin in GitHub.
That might not be me. I may be P Storts on GitHub.
Maybe that's what it was. But I mean, your name came up in the issues that I submitted.
There might be people impersonating me, but I will look, and I don't, because now, the team is really good, so they were mostly handling that. But yeah, you could also DM me on X. I think, I don't know if you have or not, but it's weird because but once I DM you back, it will. Because it triages the messages. I don't know if it does this for everyone, but it assumes every DM is a spam.
Well, you mentioned that because I messaged you just generally on X, and you did mention that you were going to publish the bug list, because I'm trying to understand moving forward now.
I am. Yes, I'm going to do it today.
The next challenge, where is that going to be published though?
Probably here on Twitter. And then it'll probably be a Google Doc or something.
Okay, cool. And then you mentioned Saturday you're doing a trial run. Are you going to have, lead up to that as well?
Well, this will be the first one, so it'll probably be disaster. So I didn't want to make too much of a public announcement about it. But we're going to do 7 or something. We're going to do 1 a week, I think. So that will start to happen. And that will give people a very good idea of exactly what the hard fork will be like. And then if they're a huge disaster, then we'll see why. And if they work perfectly, then everyone will know what to do. So,
yeah, specifically, I'm looking to get a new drivechain added any way possible. So that's the guidance I'm looking for. Like, how would you recommend? Last week we spoke about that, and
Well, on the real network, it has to have real miners. I happen to know, just because I know the people who've expressed interest in mining this fake. This is like a test net with fake coins, but yeah. Probably on GitHub is probably fine if you don't use Telegram. Telegram is where most people converse, but I think GitHub would also work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously on X. I can DM you, but I just, I have a proposal in GitHub, an issue, like probably about 2 weeks ago. I submitted it for a drivechain. So I haven't gotten any engagement on it.
Are you on Telegram or not?
I don't use Telegram just because of the KYC, so that's not an option. I'm on Discord though, and I was hoping maybe by now there would have been a Discord, eCash Discord.
Yeah, there's supposed to be what's that thing that plugs them all together? Someone said they were doing that last week, but I haven't looked. It is kind of becoming a large project, so even though I know a lot about what everyone's doing, it is a lot to keep track of. But whatever it is, I think someone was setting that up.
You don't have an official Discord still, correct?
Well, there should be. I think this person was going to create it. The guy, Vlad, you know what I'm talking about. Cryptico, shiny emoji or whatever the person was. And
you can actually.
Oh, sorry.
I was saying you can sign up for Telegram without a username and without giving them your phone number. You'll just appear like a spammy type of user.
I didn't know that. I'm not really sure how that works. Is there any how would I start that?
Also, I don't know anything about this specifically, but I know for a fact that people can buy. There's like websites where you can just buy. Now, I don't know if this works or if they take the account back later or something, but I know you can buy like Telegram accounts for like $5 or $2 or something. So, but I don't know like how well. I've never done that, but there are all these sites where you just like, how many fake accounts do you want to buy? It's kind of terrible, really, but they do exist.
Yeah, I get spam phone calls all the time. There's a way to do it, so you could just. I'm sure you could find it.
Yeah,
that's just a consequence of us being very active on Telegram.
Yeah, the Telegram is where a lot of discussion happens.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not looking to really get social. It's just the issues that I've submitted haven't been really engaged with, except for the one where I did see them actually submit a PR. So that's why I really wanted the bug list to kind of understand like where my issue stood amongst all the others. But if you're going to release that today, then I'll just wait for that, and then I'll follow up afterwards.
Okay, great.
Yeah, if you guys are bored, we're doing a space in an hour of the Bitcoin Puppets, which is like an Ordinals community, but we're just basically going to troll the BIP110 guys all day long. And then an hour after that, or like I think an hour and a half after that, yeah, there's like a debate between Jim and Leonidas, and they're arguing about BIP110 bullshit. And I think this is like the meta right now. You guys got to, we could talk about Shamari's technicals all the time, but like if you want to be where the people are at and the attention is at, you got to go in, make fun of the BIP110 retards. You got to, call Michael Saylor a Fed. And we got to connect the bridges, Paul. We can't just sit in the corner on an island over here talking about eCash and the eCash name and who owns the eCash name every week.
One quick thing, because I am working on a kind of like an arena app, because I kind of feel like again kind of reiterating what you guys are talking about, like there's really kind of getting kind of boring in terms of like leading up to the launch, in terms of there's nothing to actually do with the eCash, because now we have the wallet. Which is awesome, by the way. Really, really great job on that mobile wallet. But there's nothing to do. Like once you actually get the testnet coins, the Signet coins, you get like 3 of them, and all you can really do is post like on Coin News. So I started working like on just vibe coding some things that you can actually like play, with those Signet coins, and hopefully that'll be ready by next week, and I can possibly make this a little more or less boring for you guys.
Okay, great. And that does sound fun. David trolling those people. We'll be a little busy later today, but have fun with that. I mean, see, here's the thing. What are you going to achieve if you do is you're just going to...
So usually how it goes is we take one guy,
110's already
one
doomed.
poor little guy to come up, and like he's not really the most intelligent guy. He doesn't understand what money is. You know, the basic concepts that he just can't fathom, like what the fuck data is, right? Like why is arbitrated data part of Bitcoin? Like these people, we go through these really funny, simple concepts with these guys, but it's like almost like a patronizing way to like talk down, you know, to be like, hey, here, let me help you, retard. You know, like I guess we're stuck here with you in the room together, so we might as well talk about something, right? And then we kind of just try to educate them while knowing they're not going to listen, because we have nothing better to do. Ordinals are down 99% anyways, and this gives us a way to unite as a community and bully someone else other than the node monkeys. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of the only reason, honestly. You guys could do it too, though. You guys could unite as the eCash guys. You guys could shit on the BIP110 dumbasses and be like, by the way, drive chains are coming, you know, mic drop, and walk out of the Discord and walk out of the spaces, you know. But instead, what we do around here is we come up here every week. We listen to Shamari talk about how the GitHub and this and the fucking technicals and his drive chaining is trying to go live next week. And then the only people down there are all these dumbasses that are from the Ordinals community waiting for me to say something stupid. Come on, guys. Like, you want the onboarding? We gotta make it fun, you know. We gotta make it a little more entertaining. I'm trying to help. I swear. I promise.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
It should be more
Fun is fun. Yeah, it's true. Well, hey, Daniel Kramer's video is out today. You can see it on my Twitter or on the YouTube, eCash YouTube. So that is fun. Although he's definitely not a Gen Z. You know, it's not a TikTok video. So
like, can we get a BIP110 drive chain announcement, right? Like, come on, Paul.
That would be funny. I think, you know, actually.
Big fingers.
Okay. Well, yeah, there's going to be lots of stuff coming out. So there's plenty to look forward to, I think. But we'll have to end it here. So thanks very much. I hope everyone enjoyed listening. I hope people enjoy the recording. We'll be back next week. If anyone really wants to talk about anything in particular, they should request it. Maybe we'll talk about it. And have a great rest of the week. Now Vlad is the host, so he has to end it. I cannot end it.
Yeah, I just want to say before Vlad ends it, Zcash is going to zero. It's a Mossad coin. Zcash is not the real Bitcoin. The ZK technology is overrated, and he's not here to defend himself, so he can't stop me. If you really want privacy, you should just mix Bitcoin. They didn't throw the Zcash developers in jail. They threw the Bitcoin mixer developers in jail. I wonder why. Maybe because the tech actually works better at scale without needing to have a black box where you hide in the corner of the closet and don't admit you're gay. Maybe just stop being gay and use Bitcoin, man. Like, what are you doing over here? Zcash is not the future. Okay, stop believing in Zuko. Zuko doesn't even care about you, Vlad. He doesn't know who you are. Does that work? Did it work?
I want to get in David's head about this, though. He invested in every other altcoin for the past 10 years, but
okay, so no. In my defense, I don't have a problem with Zcash. Actually, I helped work on a lot of the early like zero coin stuff, like as like a community guy and all this other shit. But no, I don't have a problem with Zcash. I'm just trolling him because I know he loves Zcash and he's AFK. There you go. We got him.
Okay, fair enough.
I just had to get his attention, you know.
Yeah, he's pro. He's pro Solana meme coin, but Zcash is going.
No, don't say that about me. Don't you dare say that about me. I hate Solana. That chain should die. That is Fed chain.
Okay, because everything's a Fed chain. Well, I'll see everyone next week.
All right, see you guys.